Fantastic. Deepening that base. And keeping the knees slightly soft, press your feet down into the ground and then lift up so you feel the vertebra lifting one up away from the other. And it feels as if you're pulling up right through the crown of your head. And take your hands, interlace them, place your hands just behind the ridge of your head and draw your elbows back and drop your shoulders away from your ears, pushing down and out through your feet. Start to lift the heart center slightly. So we create this little bit of a back bend, and it really does feel as if we're pulling the rib cage away from the pelvis. And then start to breathe. Give your jaw a little wriggle, like that. And start to pull the breath in through the nostrils right down to the bottom of your lungs. Fill the lungs and then sigh the breath out. Feel as if you have weights at the base of your shoulder blades. So you create space between your ears and your shoulders. And slightly pull the elbows back. And then every time you breathe in, feel a slight stretch through the sideways here as you lift the rib cage. Keep pushing down through those feet. So you've got this wonderful stable base. Spreading those toes, pushing down and out, and visualizing those roots, pushing right deep, deep down into the earth. Smooth, big, full, invigorating morning breaths. Wonderful. Take your fingertips up towards the ceiling now. Press right up through those fingers as you press down through your feet and stretch the whole body. You might want to reach up with one hand and then reach up with the other hand. Really lifting out of the waist and creating space between the vertebrae. And then taking the hands down beside you, stretching out through the fingers. You might want to widen your base slightly. Really keep soft through the shoulders. Stretch out through the fingers though. And then turning to look over your left hand, breathing in. And then exhaling and turning to look over the right hand. And just doing a few more of these. So we move the head from side to side, just checking in with the range. Keeping the base of the shoulder blades nice and soft. Good morning. And making sure that your eye gaze, as you look out through those middle fingers, is very soft. So you're consciously releasing the little muscles around your eyes. And you're letting the eye gaze go right out to wherever it hits, into the wall or whatever. But you're not holding, you're not grasping with your eyes. You're just letting the eyes be relaxed. And then take your fingertips down, pull them up through the midline. Once again, right up, 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 and then down again and roll the shoulders. Big, juicy rolls. Get a bit of mobility through those rotator cuffs. And then we're just going to swish and swish, that gentle waking up swish where we start to invigorate the central nervous system. And stretch your fingertips. Make your fingers nice and wide. That's it. And start to really increase your breath. So you can hear your breath being pulled into those lungs as we move. And start to bend the knees so we create a bit more of an invigorating action through the body. That's the way. Wonderful. Keep breathing here. Keep moving. I'm just going to check in with, hey Joe. Fantastic. Okay. Hey, Bobby. And then turning that into discus throwing movement. So inhaling, stretch from toes to hands, down. And big breath in and down. And let the exhale really sigh out. So as you exhale, you're feeling your lower jaw start to drop away from your upper jaw. We're doing a very conscious release with that exhale. Wonderful. Come back into the center. Just give your upper back a bit of a tap, like so. And then we'll take our feet a little bit wider, drop down into goddess stance, stretching into those inner thighs and start to activate all of the thigh muscles, squeezing them into the bones, heavy down through your heels, inhaling, big breath in, exhaling down. Push the floor away with your heels. So we know that that action through the heels really starts to activate the glutes and pull the breath right up underneath your armpits from your hips, right up through those intercostal muscles between the ribs as if you're breathing like a fish into your gills. Big breath in and then out. Lateral stretch, up and over, pressing down through the heels so we really open the side of the body. Do that on the other side. Good. So we breathe in and we press the air away, and then we breathe out. Breathing in. Good. And then taking it to the toes so we stretch the whole sideline of the body. Just a couple of those. And back. Turn your feet in, hands just above the knees, wherever they land on your thighs. We're going to lift the tail behind us, shoulders away from ears, and then tuck the tail. So imagine that this movement is coming from your tail. So your tail like a monkey, and it's curling up behind you, and then you're tucking the tail right underneath. And using your breath as well, inhaling to open the pelvic floor muscles, exhaling, squeezing into the anus, and getting a lifting sensation right up. So it goes into the tummy button. Really getting that lovely mobilization through the pelvis, through the lower back. Breathing in and out. Then leave your tail behind you. Just give your tail a swing from side to side, like so. And just notice how we start to feel that into the top of the legs as well as the glutes. And we're getting this nice compression into the hip joint when we do this. That's the way. Swish and swish. And then try to go all the way to a straight leg. So we're just going, oh, hamstrings. Oh yeah, hamstrings. There they go. And then see if you can pause here. Pull your tail back and maybe lift your toes. So we create this nice long length here. There's a few of you who, not you guys, there's a few who haven't quite made it, so I think they're still in bed. And stretch out through these adductor muscles too. Good, and then coming back into the center, just give the upper back a little bit of a squeeze out here. And imagine now the base of your shoulder blades are pushing through your body to the front of your chest, or to your chest, and then down towards the ground. So we're getting, rather than the front of your shoulders, we're focusing on the back of the shoulders. Beautiful. And then I'm just going to get you to take your feet to that parallel again, still quite wide. Push the floor away and send the crown of your head forward. So we create an upside down L shape as much as we can. Knees can stay bent, but I do want you to try and straighten your back. I like to imagine there's a rod from the crown of the head all the way down through the spine, and it's shooting straight out the back. We're trying to press the back into the rod. Draw your shoulders right away from your ears, so it feels as if the base of the shoulder blades are pulling down towards your pelvis. And then imagine you have an orange between your shoulder blades, and you're just gently holding the orange in place. Good, now you might want to push the floor away a tiny bit as you lift your tail a tiny bit more. Keep breathing, and consciously start to draw your corsetory muscles in towards your spine. So we're working deeply here into the deep transverse abdominal muscles as well as the extensor muscles of the back. Good, bend the knees and then take the hands onto the ground. Stretch your hands out, so we've got nice wide fingers here. Walk your feet back and walk the heels down. So we're coming to downward facing dog. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Create a bit of a stretch on the back of the legs. And imagine somebody's got your tail and is lifting your tail up behind you. So we're aiming our tailbone upwards, right up to where the ceiling and the wall connect. And you might want to bend the knees across the midline of the body. So doing whatever feels nice in downward facing dog to start to wake up your body. Shoulders rolling away from ears, and give your head a shake. Beautiful. Coming down onto knees, knees wide. If it's comfortable, feet are flat. If not, you can keep the toes tucked under. Feet flat if it's possible. Dropping the sitting bones back towards your heels and stretching right out through fingertips. So we want to take the wrists off the ground, but keep the fingertips on the ground and let the head drop down. So hopefully we can put the forehead onto the ground, but if not, maybe you can slide a blanket or a pillow just to place your head onto. And focus on rolling just underneath your armpits here down towards the ground. So we create this sort of draping sensation through the ribs as if we are softening them, melting them down towards the ground. And feel into your breath here and sounding your breath. So feeling into and creating quite a deep ocean-like sound to your breath. Taking the breath into the back of the lungs. So as you inhale, it's almost as if you have wings and they are unfurling. And then as you exhale, the wings are coming back in again. So deep inhalation, those wings are lifting up behind you. And then as you exhale, the wings come back in, retract. One more of those. Good. And then looking up between your hands, just caterpillar yourself down onto the ground so that your feet, the top of the feet, the toes are pressing into the ground, hands just underneath the shoulders, elbows squeezing in towards the body for a couple of cobras, but just gentle. Remember, we use the breath, we use the inhale in order to inflate the lungs. And as the lungs inflate, we just lift up a little bit. And then as we exhale, we deflate back down again. So we inhale quite strongly. We want to create a big bit of air going into those lungs. And this helps the little multifidi muscles around the spine to squeeze into the spine to stabilize before the big muscle groups kick in. That's it. So big breath in to lift, just working up the extensor muscles of the back. And down again. Roll your shoulders back. Stretch your fingertips towards your toes. So you're quite active through the arms here. Little fingers up towards the ceiling. And as you inhale, pull those fingers back and up, and then exhale down. Now, if this is enough for your back today, stay with just the arms mobilizing, especially if you find this goes into your lower back. And if it's okay, we can lift the toes as well, pulling toes, pulling fingertips back and slightly up, waking up the back line of the body. Crown of the head rocketing forward. So draw your chin back slightly towards the neck and then relax it down. And you can just turn the head to one side for a moment and rock the pelvis. So we create that jellyfish softness through the whole body. Smooth breath, feeling your belly pushing into the ground. And keep breathing. Every time you take a full conscious breath, you're feeding and nourishing the cells of your body. So that's the beauty of yoga. We get to consciously breathe for a whole period of time and orchestrate the body with our breath. And again, let's roll the shoulders back. As we tuck the chin back, take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in, we invigorate the body, we lift it up, we pull the toes back, we pull the fingertips back. You might lift up a tiny bit more, rocking the crown of the head forward. Another couple of breaths, see if you can hold this squeezing, lifting, invigorating. All of the body muscles are lifting and contracting and working. And as soon as body says, yeah, that's enough, we can just drop down and turn the head to the other side and once again, let that jellyfish relaxation soften the body. I can't turn to the other side because I've got my earpiece in, so I'm just rocking here. And I'm going to get you just to roll over now, rolling over onto your back. And let the back just settle into the ground. So let it soften, bending the knees to make that a little bit easier on your lower back. And then bring the knees up towards your chest, hands on top of knees, and splitting the knees apart, do some big circles. Like so. Just massage those femurs into the joints, the hip joints, into the socket there. Nice big circles. One direction and then the other. Like so. Very good. And then just taking those toes together, drop the knees out to the side for a moment, palms up towards the ceiling, and close your eyes and just allow the body to soften. And see if you can go into your Ujjayi breath. So we have that slight constriction on the back of the throat that we naturally get when we extend the cervical spine. So when we create a bit of length from the ridge of the back of the head down to the shoulders. And as we get that little bit of extra drag on the diaphragm, we can feel that diaphragm having to work harder, pulling the breath right down into the bottom of the lungs and out to the sides underneath the armpits, into the back of the lungs. And taking your attention down into your hands. And just imagine you are holding warm pebbles in the palms of your hands. See if you can totally relax your hands, feeling the slight vibration, the prana, the life force in your fingertips. Really focusing on one finger at a time, right at the tips. And then notice how heavy you can make your lower jaw and how relaxed you can make the underside of your tongue. And as you consciously relax your tongue and your jaw, just notice how there can be a corresponding sense of letting go and relaxation around the pelvic bowl, around the pelvic floor muscles. Beautiful. Now we're just going to lift those toes in towards the groin. Keep the knees nice and wide. Take the hands onto the shins and then gently press the forearms into the inside of your legs. So we're starting to press those knees wide, toes together, heels slightly apart, shoulders nice and relaxed. See if you can stop the rib cage from popping up. So see if you can keep dropping the base of the rib cage, the floating ribs, down towards your spine. And gently pressing those knees apart, stretching into the inner groin area. And then waking up those feet, so nice big circles, mobilizing into the ankles, one direction and then the other. A couple of swirls. Noticing if there's any grottiness in one ankle or the other. Bella, I'm not sure if you're here this morning, but if you are, I want you to take particular note of what this feels like as you mobilize your ankle. And then taking the feet up towards the ceiling here, dropping the knees down towards your armpits or down towards the ground here, and getting that deeper stretch right into the adductor muscles. Lower belly stays soft. If you can, grabbing hold of ankles or maybe even inch your feet up towards the arch of your foot and grab the fingertips onto the arch of the foot here. And then we want to make sure that the shoulders aren't squeezing up towards your ears. So we press the back of the shoulders into the ground. If you find your head is dropping back, find your pillow or your blanket and place it under the ridge of your head so that we create still that kitten-like sensation, that stretched sensation through the back of our neck. And then if you're finding your tail is tucking right under, see if you can press the back of your pelvis into the ground as well. So we're creating as much squeeziness of our back into the ground as possible. And I quite like to push on one foot and then the other. So we create a massage across the spine when we do this. It's almost like you're pulling on one parachute string and then the other, just gliding across the back, like so. And what we're doing is just stretching all these muscles. We're lengthening the muscles before we work on contracting them. Nice deep breath so we can send the breath around the body. Now stick your feet up towards the ceiling, active legs, press the back of the pelvis into the ground. You can bring the feet together and then massage into the back of your legs here, right up above the knees where the hamstrings insert, and then right into where the hamstrings insert near your bottom here, warming up the back of the legs. Make sure you're actually feeling the hamstring stretch. So if I just here, there's nothing going on, but I want you to press your behind back into the ground and push your heels up towards the ceiling. So it's an active stretch here. Take the heels together, but the toes apart now. So you're like Charlie Chaplin. Heels together, toes apart, rub the outside of your legs, getting into that nervy, sort of sciatic-y, nervy stretch, right up into the hips. And do it again where the toes are coming towards your ear, your face, back of the legs, and then again out to the side, invigorating, rubbity-dubby-dub. Very good. Okay, so take the feet so that they're parallel to the ground. Knees are right on top of the pelvis here. Base the ribcage dropping down. A little bit of an arch still, tiny bit underneath the lumbar spine. Pull those toes back, heels away from you. Hands on the outside of your knees, or just above the knees here. Shoulders away from ears. Start to press out with your knees and press in with your fingers. So we're contracting the abductor muscles here and the outer thighs, but you'll also feel your deep transverse abdominal muscles switching on as well. So keep consciously drawing those shoulders away from the ears so we're not creating tension there. We are working on all the stabilizing muscles around the pelvis. And then take your hands into fists. Take the fists on the inside of your knees, but have your fingers facing each other. So the back of the hand on the inside of the knees, shoulders away from ears. Same thing, we're going to push the knees in and resist by pressing the fists out. So now contracting into those adductor inner thigh muscles, and gently draw in and up through the pelvic floor as you do this, so that we create a stabilizing effect, a lifting, contracting. Very nice. Now take the hands so they are flat, just above the knees on the thighs here. This time we want to gather the four corners of the pelvic floor in, zip up as we exhale. And then start to press your hands onto your thighs and thighs gently into your hands. Keep that lifting sensation. So we're kind of stopping ourselves farting and weeing at the same time, drawing in and upwards. Start to feel all of these corsetory muscles squeezing in towards the spine. Good. Keep holding, breathing. Make sure you're breathing out. Great. And then once again, just drop those knees out to the sides. Big circles, massaging circles. Very good. Press those feet up towards the ceiling again. This time, split your legs apart. We push out through the heels, and you might just want to give your legs a little bend and stretch. We want to make those toes active. And then leave them out and rub the inside of your legs. So rub the adductor muscles that we've just been squeezing. Stretch them now. And then we're going to use that pelvic floor into deep core lift to then activate our inner thigh muscles. So we exhale, we gather the four corners of the pelvic floor, we zip right up through the vagina towards your cervix, towards your tummy button, and then at the end of the exhalation, we're drawing the feet together. And you can hold on to the outside of the legs and support them as much as you need to. So inhale, belly soft, pelvic floor is relaxed. Exhale, drawing everything in and up, and then inhale to release. So breathe out through your mouth. Imagine you're breathing out through a straw. So when we do that, we create a little bit more of a vacuum, a natural vacuum through the deep core muscles. Pelvic floor is definitely part of our deep core. So we are activating synergistically through the pelvic floor first, lifting through the pelvic floor first before we put that contraction through these core muscles around the tummy. Good. If this is hurting your lower back at all, you can always do the same action, but knees bent here. Like that. And again. And one more. Good. Squeeze your knees in towards your chest. Do a big circle one direction and then the other, so we create that nice massage effect through the sacrum. And then place your feet onto the ground. Have nice wide feet here, so as wide as your mat. So that's important. So it's a different twist than a normal twist. Hands out to the side. Drop both knees over to one side. So I'm going over to my right. You're probably going to your left. And then you want to press the inside of your top knee towards the ground. So we're creating a stretch right from the knee, the inside of the knee, across the thigh and into the lower back. And if you can, turn your head to the opposite side from your knees. Keep the gentle pressure of the inside of your knee dropping down towards the ground. Good. As you exhale, tummy button to spine, up and over to the other side, and then pressing down the inside of the knee onto the ground. Very good. And then taking the knees right above the heels and have the heels close-ish to your body. So we don't want to have the feet away from the knees like that. They need to be directly underneath the knees. Now we're going to start just by rocking the pelvis back and forward, making sure as you exhale, you tuck. As you inhale, you release. Exhale, do the tuck. Inhale, release. See if you can now incorporate, as you do the tuck, a bit of pressure through the heels. So you start to push the floor away with your heels as you exhale and tuck, and then inhale to soften. Pressing into the floor and relaxing. Pressing into the floor and relaxing. Now, take it a little bit higher. So as you exhale, start to take your bottom off the ground and roll up your spine, and then roll back down as you inhale. So exhaling to roll up, inhaling to roll down. And we want to press the heels into the ground so we start to activate into the glutes now and into the hamstrings. So we get that little activation to those bum muscles as we come up, and also get a lovely massage into the spine. Very good. Massaging up, working up those shoulders as well, and down. Next time you come up, stay on a diagonal like so, and then heel toe your feet together so they're close-ish. And we want to push down firmly through the heels so we're activating those glutes. Palms down on the ground, shoulders towards each other. Now press all of your weight over into your right foot, into the heel in particular, and stick your left foot out in front of you and try to keep the knees parallel here. And then as you exhale again, see if you can press the heel up towards the ceiling so we stretch the back of the leg for a moment, and then foot back parallel and down onto the ground. Now take all the weight into the left leg, into the left heel, and stick your right foot out in front of you, toes are back. As you push the heel into the ground, lift the foot up towards the ceiling, getting a bit of a hamstring stretch, and then knees are parallel, foot back on the ground. Keep pressing through both heels for a moment and slowly roll those pelvises back onto the ground. Wonderful. Take the knees into your chest and take the hands just underneath the knees. So tuck yourself into a little ball, start to rock and roll up your spine. So massage the spine, invigorate the spine. If you want to, you can take your bottom from one side of your mat to the other. So we get a bit of a massage on either side of the pelvis. And then come all the way up, turn yourselves around, take your feet out so we've got woken up alive toes here. You can give yourself a little swirl through the ankles and the feet again. And then pull your toes back. We don't have any slack feet. We want to have nice active feet. If you need to take a pillow underneath your sitting bones, do that. So we just don't want to be slouching down. We want to make sure that the crown of the head feels as if it's lifting and all of our corsetory muscles can be switched on here. And we're mobilizing just through the ball and socket joint. So as we come forward and around, feel as if you are circling your torso into your pelvis here. And we're just waking up those hamstrings a bit more, one direction and then the other, allowing the torso to circle. Great. And then coming forward slightly. So you're on a bit of a diagonal. Now, it doesn't matter if you're up here. You're just tilting yourself forward a tiny bit until you feel those hamstrings going, oh, yes, 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 I am awake. I can feel you. Pull those toes back. Feel as if you have a string from your heart center, which is being drawn slightly upwards. Good. And if you are coming forward further, it is a mobilization through those hip joints. So it's as if you're winding forward, pausing, and then maybe winding forward a tiny bit more. Always just going to our edge and then breathing and seeing if the body wants to go any further. It might not. It might go, actually, that's too much. Let's go back. And we just breathe. Stay with that stretch, going from 90% slightly towards our edge and then pulling back again. Wonderful. And then coming back up again, just taking your left leg in, dropping the knee down towards the ground, turning the torso over that bent knee, and taking the fingertips, first of all, onto the forehead. Drop the elbow down towards the ground, and then lift the elbow behind you. So we get a bit of an upper back twist. Now, Valerie, if you're here, we will need to have a blanket just underneath the ankle, and you can take the ankle out further. So we want to prop the ankle here. And back up again. Now, next time you take your elbow back up, Stretch your fingertips up towards the ceiling. Imagine you have that wall behind you. You're drawing your elbow towards the wall, and then slide up and over towards the toes. Toes are active. And then take that top hand, inhale, take the hand onto the ground, and then a big press all the way up and over. So we stretch the whole sideline of the body, consciously pressing down through the heel of your supporting hand. Shoulders away from ears. Stretch the side of the body. Breathe deeply to really get those lungs working. Very nice. Maybe take an arm behind you slightly and looking down towards the ground. So we stretch into the chest muscles. And then all the way down. Good. We'll just do a quick little zigzag shape and mobilize the glute. So you squeeze the right glute, roll forward, relax it. Squeeze the right glute, roll the hip forward, relax it. This time, hold it there and looking up and over your left shoulder. A little bit of pressure through the inside of the right knee. Smooth breath. And then lifting up through the crown of the head and coming back. And switching your legs to the other side. The toes are nice and active, stretching the inside of these thighs here. If you've got pain or if this is not good to bend the foot, we need to prop it, a little bit of a blanket underneath the foot. And then same thing, we're going to just, first of all, hand down towards the ankle, fingertips on the forehead, elbow back, so we're getting a thoracic twist to the mid-back, and then dropping the elbow down. And then inhale, visualizing just where sort of the middle between your shoulder blades is being squeezed, and then down. And this time as you come up, lengthen those fingertips up towards the ceiling, drop the shoulder away from your ears, and then lifting all the way up out of the waist. So we feel the hip bones dropping down as we stretch the rib cage away from the pelvis. Nice length through these obliques here. Full breath, and then taking that top hand all the way down, placing the heel of the hand onto the ground for some bone strengthening through the arm, pointing the toes. Inhale, coming all the way into that mermaid stretch, pointing toes, stretching fingertips. Maybe take the hand behind you and looking down at the ground if that feels nice. Make sure you keep pressing the floor away with the heel of your hand. So we're squeezing all of the muscles in towards the bones. Beautiful. And then slowly coming down on that side as well and taking the feet behind you into your zigzag shape, squeezing the left glute, roll the hip forward and release. Left glute, roll the hip forward and release. And one more time, holding this adduction, so we're moving inwards, press the inside of that left knee, lift up through the crown of your head, rinsing out the spine as we come into a twist. Very nice. Beautiful. And then just coming straight onto hands and knees. Straight onto hands and knees. You might need to give your hands a shake here. If you need to, we can tuck toes. Otherwise, feet can be flat here. Start by taking your bottom back towards your heels. And then as you exhale, draw yourself forward so the shoulders are just over fingertips. And then dropping back again. Knees are quite wide here. And then as we exhale through that straw, rocket yourself forward, feeling a vacuum right from the pelvic floor muscles, that diamond shape of the pelvic floor, drawing in, zipping right up through the cervix towards your tummy button, and then coming back again. So we're creating a strengthening movement through the arms, but also making sure corsatory muscles are switched on before we come up, so we do not get intra-abdominal pressure down through the pelvic floor. We're doing the opposite, strengthening. Now pause this time. Elbows stay into the body as you drop your chest down towards the ground. It does not matter if you're here or here. And then exhale again to come up, pushing the floor away with the heels of your hands. Dropping back down again, lengthen the underside of the arms, and then forward. Now, if you're working with any shoulder issues at the moment, we can just stay here. We're still doing great strengthening, just staying here without adding the dip. Otherwise, we are inhaling back, exhaling forward. Inhaling dip, exhaling up. Inhaling back, that relaxes the pelvic floor. Exhaling forward, switching everything on. Inhaling, and then exhaling up as we would naturally put pressure down through the pelvic floor. We are activating pelvic floor muscles to lift and counteract that downward pressure. Whew. Up, back, one more. Beautiful. Take your fingertips on the mat again, wrists off the mat, fingers wide now, so as wide, maybe even wider than your mat, as you pull your tailbone back and up, and we want to stretch all the way from those fingertips, wrists are off the ground, right underneath the armpits. And then if you are okay in your shoulders, we keep draping the chest down as we lift the tail even more. If that hurts your shoulders, just bend the forearms so that forearms are on the ground. Takes pressure off the shoulders. Let the chest drape down. Tail is high. Very nice. And then sliding your way up, knees together this time, as if you have a tummy button with a pencil sticking out of it. We're drawing circles on the mat with that pencil. And then we're making the circles bigger. So also as if there is a pebble that's been dropped into a still lake, we start to get those ripples going further and further out. And start to enjoy this with your arms nice and relaxed. So they're kind of doing a bit of a dance here. Shoulders relaxed, elbows relaxed. And we're noticing that unwinding through the pelvis. One direction, let's take that in the other direction. So start quite small, and then make the circles bigger, and bigger still. We're gathering information here, so we are really focusing on how the body is feeling. Swadhyaya. So we're gathering information about this body at this moment in time. Where are we holding tension? Does it feel nice, or are we feeling like the one side of the pelvis is gripping? Are we noticing a bit of a grottiness in our wrists or shoulders? Always information gathering. Beautiful. And then slowly come up, touch your toes, lengthen the crown of the head up. Imagine you have a string from your heart center and a string from your pubic bone, and they are lengthening you up towards the ceiling here. Heels of the hands onto the back of the pelvis, touching those toes. And then as you push your knees into the ground, just imagine those strings are drawing up towards the ceiling. Elbows come together, and we take sippy breaths right up from the heart center out to the shoulders. So a little T-shaped breath, lengthening from the knees. So we're stretching to those quads as well. Now the idea is to pull the vertebrae away from each other, to stretch the spine. If it feels nice for you to do more of a back bend, taking one hand onto your heel and then the other hand onto the heel, please do so. But if that doesn't feel nice, then keep the hands on the pelvis. You want to keep pressing those knees into the ground and taking those sippy breaths. And then take one hand back onto the pelvis if you're doing the fuller version, and the other hand. Pause. Now imagine you have a string from the crown of your head and it is pulling up towards the ceiling. So we draw the chin in and we let the pelvis drop back a bit, creating that lovely length through the spine. And then draw yourself forward, hands onto the ground, press toes under and pull your tail all the way back and up. So once again, lengthening that spine. Beautiful length through the spine. Shoulders roll away from your ears, pressing the heels down one at a time into the ground. And then bending the knees and walking your feet forwards. Take the toes out slightly and drop yourself into malasana. So we're into the squat position. Knees out. Now, elbows on the inside of the knees, hands together if we can. So we're pressing those elbows into the knees and stretching the inner thigh muscles. We always have our tail lifting behind us. So no tucking under here, lifting. Weight is in the heels. If that's too low, we just come up a little bit, back of the hands into the knees instead. So if we're in Malasana, keep lifting through the heart as well. Back is pretty straight. Now we're going to rock it upwards. So we're pushing the floor away with the heels, and we're breathing out as we come up. So take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, push the floor away, coming up like a rocket, and then drop back down again. And then push the floor away, exhaling up. And down again, and go, big breath out, side out, and then you can make it a little bit more of a and down, So we're clearing the bottom of the lungs, as you push the floor away, good, Ha. So this is actually a kriya. Ha. So we're pushing the oxygen ha, around the body. One more. Ha. Fantastic. Come and just give your arms a big circle. Give your legs a shake. If you're, hopefully you can do this. So we've got all of our weight on our right leg. And just mobilize the left leg. So give yourself a little bit of an Elvis twist here. Like so. And then do that on the other side. So we're getting the ball and socket joint. And we're moving the leg from the joint there. Good. Now take the feet so they are parallel. Lift and stretch out your toes. And we want to imagine we've got that monkey tail which has been pulled back behind us as we come into some squats. So take the arms out in front, draw the shoulders back into the sockets, and then imagine somebody's got your tail and they're pulling your tail back. So all the weight is in the heels, knees are on top of those ankles. Lift the heart center so you're not collapsing forward. Drop down a little bit more. Imagine there is a seat just a tiny bit further back behind you and trying to reach back with your bottom to that seat. So here we are, this is power pose. We're going to push the floor away just like before, push the floor away as we come up on an exhalation. So we do the first few just very slowly. Drop down, inhale, exhaling, push the floor away, slowly come up, and then I want you to consciously drop your pelvic floor. And then drop down again. So we're getting a natural vacuum as we exhale and we come up, pelvic floor is lifting naturally. Now drop it. So drop it to that basement level and then come back down again. Do a little bit faster now. So pushing the floor away, coming up and down. Push the heels into the ground, up and down. Squeeze your gluteal muscles, your bum muscles in towards the sitting bones as you come up. So as you come down, they are flaring apart, the sitting bones. As you come up, they're squeezing in towards each other. Flaring away, squeezing in towards each other. Flaring away, squeezing in towards each other. So we are working deep into the pelvic bowl now. We're doing some fantastic work on pelvic floor strength, as well as glute strength, thigh strength. As we come up and we push our hands up, we're also working into our deep core muscles, the extensor muscles of the back, the deep transverse abdominal muscles. We're working deep into the pelvic bowl. And last one, push the floor away, come, give those shoulders a swish. And then we're just going to release the glutes a little bit into the quads a little bit too. So give yourself a bit of space around you and take your right foot forward and take your left foot back. You're in a high lunge. If you've got a handy wall beside you or a chair, you can cheat by just taking your fingertip onto the wall. Now we want to draw the heel away from us. So it's back on your toes, back toes on the ground, but heel is up. And we want to press the heel away as we drop down. So we're stretching into these hip flexors and into quads. Imagine you still got that string from the crown of your head. Take the hands up towards the ceiling, shoulders away from your ears. And as we exhale, tummy button comes in towards the spine and up, and we straighten that front leg, and then we come down again. So as we exhale, we push the floor away with that front heel and drop. Exhaling, core citrine muscles all switching on, lifting up, and we are working very strongly through that front thigh, front glute. Good, one more. And then come down, stay here, and come forward slightly. So I'm not sure if Valerie's here, but if you're here, Valerie, we don't come up. We're just going to put weight here and stabilize. Otherwise, we're taking the heel up and we're lengthening into warrior three, pressing all the way back to the back heel, crown of the head lengthening forward. Feel as if you have that orange between your shoulders and now you're squeezing it slightly. And then drop the back toes down again. Lift the hands up, lift the ribcage away from the pelvis, little fingers forward, thumbs back, creating a lovely deep full stretch through the front line of the body, and then slowly coming up and just pivot around to the other side. Good, so we've got our left foot forward, right foot back, coming down into your high lunge to stretch into the hip flexors here. Make sure that the back heel is pushing away from you, and that's what's sending your front knee forward. So a couple of breaths. And then take the arms up, and as you exhale, we push the floor away. We come back down again. And 2 more on this side, because we're running out of time. One more for the fun of it, all the way back, and then dropping down again. Hold here for a moment, slide your back foot forward, get your balance, squeeze these thigh muscles in towards thigh bones, and then draw yourself into your balance here. Make sure that you're active through the glutes. We're holding that orange, and then slowly come back down again and lift up. Victorious breath here. So big, smooth ocean breath. This is waking you up first today. Nice press out through the back heel, and then slide yourself forward. Give your legs a little shake. We need to release these glutes. You can do this holding onto the wall, or if you want to try a freestanding balance, we'll do it without the wall. So crown of the head is lifted. Feet are planted down into the ground. Take your hands together as if you're praying. Bring your hands into your heart center, shoulders away from your ears. Bend the knees as if you are doing a squat. And then press all the weight into your right leg, into your right foot, and take your left ankle on top of the right knee. We're going to drop that left knee out to the side. And then once again, someone's got your tail and they're drawing it back and up. So as you come down, we're going to make sure that the standing leg knee is on top of the ankle, and we're spreading those sitting bones. And you keep dropping that left knee out to the side. Keep lifting your heart center. So try not to round here because you'll tuck your tail. Instead, lift the heart. Shoulders are relaxed. Chin is tucking back. And your eye gaze is soft again. So relaxing the little muscles around your eyes as you fix onto a point just in front. And using your breath, that ocean breath, to stabilize, to anchor you. Wonderful. Slowly coming up, and then just doing that on the other side. So we want to create a nice stable base, bending into the knees, lifting those sitting bones behind us, taking the ankle on top of the knee, letting the eye gaze find a point, but we're not fixated on it. We have this unattachment. And instead, let your breath be your anchor. And let the rest of the body just relax down into this quite deep stretch into your glutes, into the hamstrings here. Smooth breath. Very good. That's it. And then slowly coming up, taking your sitting bones against your bit of wall, and take the feet about a foot length and a bit away, and then walk your sitting bones up the wall. That's it. So we're kind of doing a swish up the wall until we have hamstrings that are going, oh, I can feel that, thank you. And allow yourself to drop forward, head is heavy, holding onto your elbows. So we create this wonderful draping sensation where the weight of the head and the arms is tractioning the spine. If anyone has lower back issues, it's better for them to be slightly in extension. Then you can do the same thing, but just lifting the heart a little bit. So we still have that lovely weight of the head traction the spine, but we're just not rounding the lower back so much. So if you're in this version, give your head a shake from side to side. This is where we stimulate the pituitary gland. So very, very nice for helping us to stimulate hormone production. Focusing on the end of the exhalation, that little pause where nothing is happening. Good, just bending the knees so you come down into a kind of a tummy hugging position for a moment. And then we're going to gracefully, as possible, roll ourselves so that the hip is against the wall. And then we roll ourselves into an inversion. So legs up the wall pose, Viparita Karani. Now, because it's the morning, you have the option to just rest here for a couple of minutes and let the back sink into the ground, which is wonderful. Or if you want to do something a bit more invigorating, place your feet onto the wall and just give your back a little bit of a bit of movement, just like we did before at the beginning of the practice, where we rock the pelvis. And then as the spine starts to mobilize again, come up a little bit higher. And then for some of you, it might be nice today to come up into a half shoulder stand. If you're here, you want to draw the shoulders towards each other, elbows towards each other, and then pressing down into the ground initially. And if this is nice, take the hands onto the back of the pelvis. So you just support the hips, the back of the pelvis with your hands. And you can start to put all the weight into the upper arms and into the elbows. It might be nice to take one foot up towards the ceiling. Try that. And maybe even taking 2 feet up towards the ceiling to come into shoulder stand. So if we're in shoulder stand, we want to try to still have active toes and pulling the pelvis up away from the rib cage again. Don't move your head if you're in this version. And focusing again on the end of each exhalation. And either staying here for a few more breaths, or if you're ready to come out, just taking the feet against the wall again and one vertebra at a time, very, very slowly. So roll the shoulders away from your ears and one vertebra at a time, let your spine come down. So it's a very, very slow transition, as if you have a pearl necklace and you are placing one pearl at a time down onto the ground. Lovely. And then just letting the back settle. Imagine you are allowing the back to melt, almost like wax, into the ground. So we're consciously visualizing the back and all the little muscles around the spine, which has been working so hard. We're visualizing those muscles softening. And you're consciously allowing the belly to become relaxed and the back of the pelvis to spread. And taking your attention into your toes this time. So actually feeling just underneath the skin surface of your toes, feeling the vibrancy of your toes. And then feeling into the soles of your feet. Taking your attention around the tops of your feet. And then allowing your awareness to draw down your legs. And as the awareness draws down your legs into the pelvis, feel all the muscles of your legs softening. So it's like you're washing your body clean with your awareness, and you're allowing any residual tension in the legs to soften. So you'll find your toes drop out to the sides a bit more. Feeling the lovely weight of your legs into your pelvis. Notice the sacrum, the back of the pelvis starting to soften into the ground, spread. And visualizing the whole of your skeleton, the spine, the shoulder girdle, the arm bones, and all the little bones in your hands. Once again, feeling into the fingers, visualizing and feeling into the bones of your fingers. And feeling into the back of your head, the ridge of the back of the head, the pressure there. And allow that pressure to soften the skull bone. You might just want to move your head gently from side to side, massaging into the head. Good. And then sliding your feet down the wall and just rolling over to one side. And very slowly coming up, coming to a comfortable seated position. So we want to feel as if we're nice and stacked, imagining 3 Buddha stones stacking one on top of the other. If you've got a pillow close by or a blanket close by, you can put one on top of the other. So you can put them underneath your sitting bones and just roll your shoulders, drop your head and give your head a little roll here, one direction and then the other. And then placing your head bang on top of your neck, feeling the crown of the head is being lifted as your sitting bones spread and really settle into the ground. Imagine your head as that top stone, just perfectly balanced on top of the middle stone. Taking the hands onto the knees and closing the eyes or looking down at the ground in front of you, softening the eye gaze. Reconnecting with that Ujjayi breath. And starting from the floor, allow your awareness to slowly float upwards, all the way up your spine, all the way up your body, right up to the crown of your head and even beyond. And as your awareness moves upwards, feel yourself expanding and lifting up out of your waist. And then just relaxing your shoulders back down again consciously. And feel into that perfect spot where your head is perfectly balanced on top of your spine. And then keep moving the crown of your head straight upwards as far as it will go. And feel your spine and your body reconfiguring to this upward thought. And then feel as if you are lifting the lid of your head. You're opening it up. And it feels as if you're merging with the sky above you. Right up. And then starting with this openness at the crown of your head, allow the awareness now to slowly filter back down. So you come down through the head, softening down through the muscles around your eyes and your cheeks. And as you bring your awareness slowly down, you feel everything relaxing. Let the jaw become really heavy as you allow every sense of holding and every subtle tension to soften. Just washing the body clean with your gentle awareness as you feel everything relaxing inside. As you feel yourself softening through shoulders, allowing the muscles to start to soften away from your skeleton. Notice how as you relax, you start to become less dense, less compacted. The body starts to feel less solid. So allowing your breath to create a sensation of extra space in your body, more air and comfort, until you feel wide open, until you become very aware that this physical body is ultimately only energy. So expanding the awareness to include all of you. Just feeling the whole body ripple with effortless breathing, even down into your elbows. There'll always be a discernible wave-like movement, ripple somewhere in the body. And watching the breath move through the body places you squarely in the now, in this moment in time. Allowing you to experience with clarity the peace of centered stillness. Become very aware of the feeling of the air against your exposed skin. Start to breathe a little bit more deeply, as if you were seeking out that velvety contact. And start to open your ears so that you are listening to all sounds around you, and you feel sound, the vibration of sound moving into your ears, stimulating your brain. And then start to move your fingers and draw your hands out to the side. Stretch out through your fingers. You can feel that prana, that life force starting to pulse through you now. And turn the palms to face the ceiling. Gently open the eyes to let the light in. Reorientating yourself. And then as you inhale next, pull energy up and around your body to lift your fingers, look up towards the ceiling, stretch your spine, hold the top of the breath for just one more moment, and then let it all go. Go, ha. And then again, a big invigorating breath in, side out, ha. And last one. Let it go. Ha. Wonderful. Roll those shoulders, hands into the heart center. Just taking those hands to acknowledge yourself for coming and moving into your stillness. The love enlighten me, bows to the love enlighten you. Thank you so much, ladies. Namaste. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.